If someone felt safer losing you than needing you, this video will explain exactly why. No soft talk, no long lectures, just the psychology. Chapter 1. Why avoidance feels safer losing you than needing you. Here's what I think. And I know this sounds brutal the first time you hear it. For avoidance, losing you often feels safer than needing you. Yeah. Not because you weren't important, not because they didn't care, but because needing someone triggers something way scarier for them than loss ever does. And until you understand that, their behavior will never make sense. Why this feels so personal to you. You won't believe this, but your brain interprets this one way only. If someone lets you go instead of fighting for you, you assume, I wasn't worth the effort. I mattered less than I thought. If I was important, they wouldn't risk losing me. That logic makes sense for your attachment system. But avoidants aren't choosing between you versus nothing. They're choosing between emotional dependence and emotional self-protection. And self-protection almost always wins. Needing someone feels dangerous to avoidance. Let's slow this down. To you, needing someone feels like connection, intimacy, safety. To an avoidant, needing someone feels like loss of control, vulnerability without a guarantee, emotional exposure they can't manage. Can you imagine that? Wanting someone and feeling scared of how much power that gives them over you. That's their internal reality. Why losing feels more familiar than needing. Here's the part people don't talk about enough. Most avoidants grew up learning one core lesson. Don't rely too much on anyone. Not always because of obvious trauma. Sometimes it was subtle, emotionally unavailable parents, praise for independence, comfort minimized instead of offered. So their nervous system learned, I'm safest when I handle things alone. Loss, distance, emotional shutdown. These feel known. Needing someone feels like stepping into unknown territory. And the nervous system hates unknowns. What actually happens when they start needing you? You won't believe this, but the moment an avoidant realizes, I actually need this person, their nervous system goes into alarm mode. Thoughts like, what if they disappoint me? What if I depend too much? What if I lose myself? So instead of leaning in, they pull back. Not because love disappeared, but because fear showed up, and fear is louder than affection. Why they choose distance instead of reassurance. This part hurts, so stay with me. When you sense distance and move closer, asking for reassurance, clarity, consistency, your nervous system is asking for connection. Theirs is hearing, expectation, responsibility, pressure. So what do? They create space. Space reduces anxiety. Distance restores control. Silence quiets their nervous system. And suddenly, they feel calmer. Not happier, calmer. That's an important difference. Why calm beats connection for them? Here's something people don't like admitting. Avoidants prioritize emotional regulation over emotional connection. They don't ask, does this make me closer? They ask, does this make me feel less overwhelmed? And losing you, as painful as it is, often feels less overwhelming than needing you. Can you imagine that logic running automatically in your body? It's not cruel, it's conditioned. The heartbreaking mismatch. This creates one of the most painful mismatches in relationships. You think, if I matter, they'll fight for me. They think, if I need you too much, I'll lose myself. Same relationship, two completely different fears. And because fear isn't spoken clearly, it turns into silence, withdrawal, and emotional distance. Why they don't chase when you pull away. You won't believe this, but when you finally stop reaching, they don't always chase. Not because they don't care, but because distance restores their sense of safety. They tell themselves, maybe this is for the best. I shouldn't need anyone this much. So instead of running toward you, they run back toward themselves. Self-sufficiency feels like survival to them. This is where people misinterpret everything. From the outside, it looks like they didn't care enough to try. They chose ego over love. They were fine losing me. But internally, they chose what felt safer, not what felt truer. And safety, for avoidance, is emotional independence. All right, we move deeper. This is Chapter 2. Chapter 2, what avoidants feel after they lose you, and why you don't see it. Here's what I think. This is the part people get completely wrong. They assume that once an avoidant lets you go, that's it. They're done. They've moved on emotionally. You won't believe this, but that's usually not what happens. What actually happens is quieter, slower, and way more confusing. Why avoidants seem fine after the breakup? Let's start with the part that hurts the most. Right after things end, avoidants often look okay. They're functioning. They're calm, sometimes even relieved. And you're sitting there thinking, wow, I meant nothing. But here's the truth. What you're seeing is nervous system relief, not emotional closure. Their anxiety dropped the moment the pressure of closeness disappeared. No expectations. No emotional responsibility. No one needing reassurance. So their body goes, okay, we're safe again. That calm fools everyone, including them. Relief comes before grief for avoidance. This part matters. For most people, grief hits first. Sadness, longing, panic. For avoidance, the order is flipped. First comies, relief, emotional quiet, sense of control. Grief comes later, if they allow it. Can you imagine that delay messing with your own head? By the time sadness shows up, everyone else assumes they've already moved on. Why they don't miss you the way you expect? Here's another hard truth. Avoidants don't miss people first. They miss states. They miss familiarity, routine, emotional safety without closeness. They don't sit there replaying romantic moments early on. They notice things like, why does this feel so empty? Why is no one checking in? Why does life feel quieter? And only later does the missing turn into you. That delay makes them look cold. They're not cold. They're emotionally slow to register loss. Why thinking about you feels uncomfortable? You won't believe this, but avoidants often avoid thinking about you. Not because you're irrelevant, but because thinking about you brings back need. And need triggers the same alarm system as before. So their brain does this clever little thing. Distract, minimize, rationalize. They tell themselves, it wasn't that serious. It wouldn't have worked anyway. I'm better off alone. These aren't lies meant to hurt you. They're self-soothing strategies. The moment regret starts sneaking in, here's where things shift. Time passes. Their nervous system stays calm, but something else shows up. Emptiness. And emptiness is harder to ignore than anxiety. They start noticing. Conversations feel shallow. No one really knows them. Independence feels lonely now. That's when regret sneaks in quietly. Not dramatic. Not, I need them back energy. More like, they really showed up for me. They understood me in a way others don't. Can you imagine realizing someone mattered after you felt safe without them? Yeah, that's the trap. Why regret doesn't lead to action. This is the part that messes people up the most. Just because avoidants feel regret doesn't mean they'll reach out. Why? Because reaching out means vulnerability, accountability, emotional exposure, and those are the same things they ran from. So instead of action, they sit in internal conflict. They miss you. But they also fear re-entering the dynamic. So they do nothing. And from the outside, it looks like indifference. Why they replay the relationship privately. You won't believe this, but many avoidants replay relationships alone. Not to fix things. Not to reconnect. But to make sense of their feelings without involving anyone. They think, did I overreact? Was I unfair? Why do I miss them now? This reflection happens in silence. No texts. No apologies. No visible signs. Which is why people assume it never happens. Why seeing you move on hits differently? Here's a big one. When avoidants see you moving on, actually okay, actually detached, that's when the emotional impact sharpens. Not because they want you back immediately, but because the option of return disappears, and suddenly the loss becomes real. Distance felt safe when it was a choice. It feels painful when it's permanent. This is where the internal split happens. They're stuck between two truths. I care more than I admitted. I don't know how to be close without losing myself. so they freeze. And frozen people look uncaring from the outside. But internally, it's confusion, regret, and emotional paralysis. Important reality check. Now listen carefully. This matters. Just because avoidants feel all this does not mean they'll change. Awareness doesn't equal capacity. Missing you doesn't equal readiness. And regret doesn't magically rewire their attachment system. This isn't romantic. It's neurological and learned behavior. Now we go where most people don't want to look. This is Chapter 3. Chapter 3. Why needing you feels like losing themselves. Here's what I think. If you really want to understand avoidance, you have to stop asking, why don't they fight for love? And start asking, why does closeness feel like self-erasure to them? Because that's the real fear. Needing someone equals identity threat. You won't believe this, but for many avoidants, love isn't the danger. Dependency is. Their nervous system learned early on, if I need someone, I lose control. If I rely on someone, I disappear. So when a relationship deepens, something strange happens. Instead of feeling grounded, they feel crowded, like their inner space is shrinking. Can you imagine feeling suffocated by something that's supposed to be comforting? Why emotional closeness feels invasive. To you, closeness feels like being seen, being held, being understood. To an avoidant, it can feel like being monitored, being obligated, being emotionally invaded. Not because you're doing anything wrong, but because intimacy activates their old survival rules. Rules like, don't need too much, don't rely, don't get stuck. So even healthy connection can feel threatening. Why they pull away right when things get real. You know that moment? Things are good, stable, connected, and suddenly, distance. You won't believe this, but that's often the exact moment they realize, oh, this matters. And when something matters, they feel exposed. Love raises the stakes. The more important you become, the more power you have to hurt them, even unintentionally. So their system says, back up, regain control. Why reassurance doesn't actually reassure them. Here's a mistake people make. They think, if I just reassure them more, they'll feel safer. But reassurance requires receiving. And avoidants struggle with receiving emotional care. Why? Because receiving creates imbalance. If you give too much, they feel indebted. If they rely on you, they feel weak. If they need you, they feel trapped. So reassurance doesn't calm them. It increases pressure. Why love feels like pressure, not comfort. This is hard to hear, but important. Avoidants don't experience love as warmth first. They experience it as expectation. Expectation 2. Show up, communicate, stay emotionally available, be consistent. Even when you're not demanding any of that explicitly, their brain fills in the blanks. So instead of thinking, they care about me, they think, I'm going to fail at this. And no one wants to stay where they feel like a future failure. Why they value independence more than intimacy. You won't believe this, but independence isn't a preference for avoidance. It's a coping mechanism. Independence means no emotional debt, no vulnerability, no fear of being consumed. So when a relationship threatens that independence, they don't think, I'm choosing freedom over love. They think, I'm choosing survival. Big difference. Why they confuse peace with distance. Here's another quiet distortion. Avoidants often mistake emotional numbness for peace. Distance lowers emotional intensity. Lower intensity feels calm. Calm feels safe. But safe doesn't mean fulfilled. So they leave relationships not because they're unhappy, but because they're overwhelmed by closeness. Why they don't explain this clearly. You might wonder, why don't they just say all this? Because most avoidants don't consciously understand it. They just feel irritated, restless, pressured, and they interpret those feelings as something is wrong with the relationship, not with their attachment system. So instead of explaining, they withdraw. Silence feels easier than articulation. Why this creates so much self-doubt in you. Let's be honest. Being with an avoidant can mess with your self-trust. You start asking, am I too much? Am I asking for too much? If I was calmer, would they stay? But here's the truth you need to hear clearly. Their fear of needing you is not caused by your needs. It's caused by their history. The painful paradox. Here's the paradox that hurts the most. The more emotionally healthy and available you are, the more an avoidant may feel threatened. Because healthy love requires presence. And presence requires vulnerability. And vulnerability is the one thing they were taught to avoid. All right. Now we land this clean, honest, and grounded. This is Chapter 4. Chapter 4. What this means for you, and why waiting hurts more than leaving. Here's what I think. If you've made it this far, you already know something most people avoid admitting. Understanding avoidance doesn't magically make being with them easier. It just makes the truth clearer. Why your love can't fix their fear. Let's kill the biggest illusion first. Your patience will not heal their attachment wounds. Your consistency will not rewire their nervous system. Your love will not teach them how to need safely. You won't believe this, but love isn't the cure avoidance need. Awareness, therapy, and intentional work are. And unless they choose that work, nothing changes long term. Why waiting feels hopeful but drains you. Waiting feels active. You tell yourself, they just need time. They'll realize what they lost. They'll come back differently. But waiting quietly shifts your life into pause mode. You stop fully moving on. You stay emotionally available. You keep space open just in case. And that limbo slowly drains you. Not dramatically, subtly. Why their eventual regret doesn't equal readiness. This part matters. Yes, avoidants often feel regret. Yes, they may miss you deeply. But regret is not the same as emotional capacity. They can miss you and still avoid intimacy. They can love you and still choose distance. They can come back and repeat the same cycle. Missing someone doesn't fix fear. Why closure doesn't come from them. Here's a hard truth. You might never get the conversation you deserve. Not because you didn't matter, but because facing emotional impact requires vulnerability. And vulnerability is what they avoid. So closure has to come from your understanding, not their explanation. Why this was never about your worth. Read this slowly. They didn't choose distance because you weren't enough. They chose distance because closeness cost them too much internally. You didn't ask for too much. You asked the wrong person. That distinction matters. Why staying emotionally available keeps the cycle alive. You won't believe this, but staying open actually helps them avoid growth. Why would they confront their fear? If you're always there, understanding, waiting? Distance forces awareness. Consequences create reflection. Without those, nothing shifts. What choosing yourself actually looks like. Choosing yourself doesn't mean becoming cold. It means stopping emotional overfunctioning, matching effort instead of compensating, allowing people to feel the impact of their choices. It's quiet. It's grounded. And it's powerful. Why peace feels boring at first. After emotional chaos, peace feels strange. No highs. No guessing games. No anxiety-driven attachment. At first, it can feel empty. That doesn't mean it's wrong. It means your nervous system is recalibrating. The final reality check. Here's the truth, no sugarcoating. Avoidants feel safer losing you than needing you, until they learn that closeness isn't a threat. And that lesson isn't taught by love alone. It's taught by loss, accountability, and inner work. One last question. So ask yourself honestly, do you want someone who chooses you when it's comfortable? Or someone who can choose you even when it's emotionally hard? Because love that only exists at a distance isn't love that can grow.